Hello and welcome to COS Indiana Live as we bring you Roundtable. The Roundtable segment is presented here every fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m. We'll be focusing on education and discussion of the topics and challenges we all face as we use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Join us now as we bring you COS Indiana Roundtable with our MC, John Ackerman.
Welcome to COS Indiana Roundtable. I'm your host, John Ackerman. First thing up, we had announced that we'd have Mark Meckler, the founder and president of Convention of States. But due to technical difficulties, we're not able to connect with him tonight. We apologize for that, and we'll instead bring you a report on our Indiana 2022 strategy meeting, which our state leaders had last month. After that report, our COS Indiana State Director, Dale Parrish, will tell you about our great educational resources so you can learn more about Convention of States. Then, I'll welcome our state leadership team for I Want to Know, and they'll answer some important questions about Convention of States. Oh, if you have a question, you may submit it beginning right now. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, just click the comment button and enter your question. We'll do our best to answer you during I Want to Know. Finally, then, I'll invite you to join Convention of States and help us use the Constitution to save the Constitution. So let me invite our State Director, Dale Parrish, to join me on screen. Hi, Dale.
Hi, John. How you doing?
You want to get going with the replacement for our great director, Mark Meckler?
Yes, I sure will. I'm going to send you back to the lobby right now, okay?
Sure.
And we'll start this off. Okay. Well, welcome. I want to welcome everyone to our broadcast this evening, and I just want to reiterate what John was saying about our guest this evening, folks. This is a live stream. This is live streaming, and so this is live, and this happens from time to time. We depend upon individuals and guests to show up, and things happen. Okay, and we're pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that Mark Meckler is, I think, in the state of Wisconsin, and he's probably there trying his best to get Wisconsin to become the 16th state to pass the resolution calling for a convention of states. So I think he's on a very, very important mission, and we'll let him go on that this time around. Okay. Well, in lieu of Mark, as John said, we're going to talk to you, present you some information about our strategy meeting. Now, this is a very, very important meeting that we have once a year. And I'm sure if any of you are in a business or an organization where you do some planning for the next year, then you know how important it is to go through this type of an exercise. So this is something we do every year about this time of the year, and we establish then our objectives that we want to accomplish in the upcoming year. And of course, we're focusing on the year 2022 coming up next year. Now, it so happens that on the October 4th COS Indiana Live broadcast, I did an interview as my special guest that evening. I did an interview with Paul Phillips. Now, Paul, our legislative liaison, Paul and I pretty much hosted the strategy meeting, And actually, Paul did most of the work and did a fantastic job hosting the meeting. So the two of us discussed the strategy meeting, what we did, why we did it, what came out of it. So what we are going to do here is we're going to play you a video of that interview that I conducted with Paul. Now, Paul was supposed to join me this evening to introduce this to you, and evidently something's happened to Paul. So maybe he's with Mark. I don't know. But so anyway, I'm going to bring up the video and let you see that video. And again, this is an interview that I did with Paul, and we discussed the ins and outs, all about the strategy meeting that we conducted. It was on September 18th, and it was done in Anderson, Indiana. And we'll give you the location. You'll hear that in the video. But I hope you enjoy this, and I think it's very thorough, and I think it couldn't be, we couldn't have recreated this if we wanted to. So let's just take a look at this, and I'll be back to make a few closing comments once we get through the video. So hope you enjoy this. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Let me I need to turn the volume up a little bit on you. Can you hear okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. That's better. All right. Well, Paul, we're going to be talking tonight about the strategy meeting that we held on September 18th, I believe it was, wasn't it?
Right.
So this is something we do every year. Paul is I guess the title would be facilitator, wouldn't it?
Right. I'd call it a facilitator.
Okay. Some years ago, when we started this, I decided, I've got a business background, and of course, in my business background, we went through strategy meetings, and I can't think if we call them strategy meetings or planning meetings, I guess. And there was generally a business trained person has been through these before, and sometimes has maybe had some training. So I wanted to establish that for us, and so I reached out to the other leadership individuals in our group at that time, and I said, has anyone ever conducted any kind of strategy planning process? And Paul said, yep, I've done this many times. And I guess, Paul, this is this something like, I know you're an investment counselor, right?
Right.
Is this a methodology that you use in your business?
Not in my current business, but some past positions, I've done a lot of strategic planning.
Okay. All right. So anyway, Paul has been our facilitator for a few years now in conducting these strategy meetings. Does a great job, and was exactly what I was hoping to find. So that was Paul's role, and like I said, did a very, very, very good job. So first, let's talk, Paul. What is a strategy meeting? What is there a set definition?
I don't know if there's a universal definition, but for our purposes, our strategy meeting is all about looking into the future in the coming year and deciding which goals we're going to focus on and setting some targets for those goals, and then discussing some strategies for meeting those goals.
Okay. That's exactly right. And and one of the things, and we'll be going through these very shortly here, but of course, one of the things that we've always stressed in developing these goals is they must be measurable. There must be some way, right? We have to be able to determine whether we're progressing and achieving the goal, or if we have in fact achieved the goal at the end. So we need to have a tracking mechanism or the ability to track these goals. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, or?
No, but that is critical to have a definite trackable number for our goal, to have it time constrained, that we have to meet it by a certain amount of time.
Right. Okay. It's so very easy to slip into the mode of I can't think of the proper term, but we can come up with grandiose things that we would like to accomplish, but if you can't measure your progress, then they're really not. They're nice to talk about, nice to say, but if you can't measure your progress, you'll never know whether you've accomplished the goal.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about our history when it comes to strategy meetings. When was the first one that you attended?
Well, so this was our fourth strategy meeting. So the first one obviously then would have been 4 years ago, which would put that at 2018.
Yeah.
And this was something that you initiated, that we needed to build a strategy for the following year, for 2019. And now it's become pretty much a standard with each of the states within Convention of States, that annually each state will do a strategy meeting.
Yeah. This is a countrywide. Every state has to go through this process. Doesn't have to be the exact process that we went through, but I think it needs to be something very, very similar. And as you know, some states turn these events into 2-day, 3-day long events, right? We do it in 1 day, and I think while ours is a much more brief venue, it accomplishes what I think the main thing that we set out to accomplish.
Yeah, to be fair, the day we spend in person is pretty intense, but it gets us started and gets some of the main goals nailed down. And then we typically follow up with 1 or 2 Zoom meetings to finalize things.
Right. Okay, well, let's talk about, and we're going to show you some pictures here of our strategy meeting, and some other slides here very shortly. But before we get into those, tell us about the methodology that you used here.
We use a methodology called the 4 disciplines of execution, and this comes from a book. One of the principal authors is Sean Covey, the son of Stephen Covey of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People fame. And briefly, what the 4 disciplines are, our first of all is to establish what are known as wildly important goals, or WIGs, as we call them for short. So that, excuse me, that is a key part of our meeting. And then a second step, one of the second disciplines, is to focus on lead measures. So once we set a goal for something, we need to talk about what activities can we do to help us meet that goal, and we're going to track that activity. So, for example, one of our goals is always to increase the number of supporters that we have. And a lead measure for that could be the number of meetings that we do, town halls, those kind of things. So we'll make sure to track those lead measures. Pardon me.
You're getting all choked up on, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
You got some water with you? There you go.
Okay. So we'll focus on these lead measures to make sure we're doing the right things.
Okay.
And then we create a compelling scorecard is number 3. And that's just one way of tracking all of these measures and sharing them with the organization. And we do that monthly at our state team meetings. And then finally is it's called create a cadence of accountability, which has to do with each sub-team having regular meetings to hold ourselves accountable for the activities that we need to complete. So the legislative liaison team will hold regular meetings, the grassroots team, the communication team, and then your executive team. And it's through those regular meetings we make sure that we're staying active and on track. Okay. So that in a nutshell is that 4 disciplines of execution methodology.
All right, good. Okay. All right, good. Well, then let's look at what we've come up with for our strategy for 2022. And I'm going to bring up our PowerPoint here and kind of go through these just to give everyone a brief synopsis on what we accomplished. Now, this is in fact what the just a few pictures of the meeting and how it looked. There's Paul and I at the podium from time to time. We were also Zooming the meeting. Now, this meeting, this was for leadership individuals. This was not public. This was for leadership individuals in COS Indiana. So we sent out a Zoom invitation, and so that our leadership individuals that could not participate in person were able to view the proceedings via a Zoom connection. And so this and where did we hold this, Paul? I know you just looked that up.
This was at the Maple Grove Church of God in Anderson, Indiana, kind of central in the state to make it easy for folks to get there and participate. And between in-person and the Zoom, we had about 27 people participating in the meeting.
Okay. I might mention that this is a bit of a change. This kind of goes back into the history. First couple years when we did these, we limited the attendance to these strategy meetings. To only certain invited individuals. The past 2 now, we've opened it up. Zoom has given us that ability to get more people involved. So now it's open to any and all leadership individuals in COS. So anyway, I might mention here this center picture. Let me see if I can get this a little bit. This center picture here. This is John Ackerman. We presented a challenge coin to John. That's a Convention of States award, very, very high award for individual, actually the highest volunteer award Convention of States gives out. So we took the opportunity to present that to John at the strategy meeting.
Yeah, and I'll also note in that picture, the lady on the left,
yes,
Brenda Carlin, who is a past states regional director. I guess it might be accurate to say she's your boss, Dale.
Yeah.
And Brenda lives in Florida, but manages a number of the past states in Convention of States, and she traveled here to Indiana to participate in our meeting. And in addition to John receiving the challenge coin, I can't let this slip without mentioning that you, Dale, received a special leadership award from the team in appreciation of all the work that you've done
I did.
Conventional states.
I did. I did not include a photo on that, but yes, I did, and took me totally by surprise.
Well, that was the plan.
And that worked very well. Okay. Well, that's kind of that gives you kind of a view of what was transpiring there that day. Now, let's go through some of the things that came out of the meeting. Our vision statement, this has not changed from 2021. Still be the same for 2022. Build a strong, engaged army of self-governing activists. Okay. Our Indiana mission statement for 2021 will be the same for 2022. Restore self-governance by recruiting, training, and deploying citizen activists to engage in all levels of government. That remains the same. Now, won't go into detail on these, but these were the objectives that came out of our strategy meeting for 2021. Correct. And these are the objectives, right, Paul, that we've been striving to achieve in 2021.
Right. And if I recall right, we've achieved each of these goals other than 70,000 supporters. We've got a few months left in the year, and we're in the mid 60,000s. So we hope to make a push and get to 70,000 by the end of December.
And we think the president is helping us a great deal.
Yes, we definitely have seen a Biden bump in the number of convention state supporters.
And we kind of giggle at that, but that is very true, folks. Very, very true. When was the key Biden speech, Paul? Was that like early September, something like that?
Yeah, the speech where he announced his intention to use OSHA to mandate employers to have employees vaccinated. That was a Thursday evening. That following day, nationally, we average about 1,000 new supporters a day. The day after that speech, we picked up 20,000 new supporters.
And this was felt countrywide, and we certainly felt it here in Indiana. The month of September turned out to be a record month for us as far as new supporters coming in to commit. So while the 70,000 target number was kind of seeming unreachable, it's no longer it's in the running now. We may get there. We may get there the way things are going here. So these were the objectives that we had set forth for us in 2021. Now, I just want to mention this point that in the strategy meeting, we've designated 2022 as the year of the region captain. Let me back up here, and you see one of the objectives for 2021 was 7 region captains in place. Well, I believe we're actually there now. It may be at 8 now that I think about it, and we could very easily have. We'll have that goal accomplished here in 2021. And the region captains, folks, we've got 9 regions right now. That may change because we're looking at realigning some of the region boundaries. So we may end up with more regions in 2022. But we've long been trying to get a region captain in place in each of the 9 regions that we have set up right now, and I think we're almost there. So this is going to become, we designated 2022 as the year of the region captain. These are some of the changes that we've implemented or that are in progress to help our region captains be good region captains and do what we are hoping they will do. They're going to be managers is what they're going to be, and we want them to work at growing that number of district captains. So anything you want to add to this, Paul? I think
No, I think you were very thorough there.
Okay. Well, here's what we here are the WIGs that Paul mentioned, the wildly important goals, the goals that we've set forth for 2022. We want to get to 80,000 supporters. Now, folks, just to give you a little perspective on this, I know we're going longer in this segment, but when we changed the state director roles in 2017, our previous state director, Diane Gomez, did a tremendous job here in Indiana and got the resolution passed. Do you know, Paul, I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you know how many supporters we had in the roles in 2017?
No, I'm hoping you do.
Would you believe we had 14,000 supporters?
Wow.
And yes, 14,000. And right now, since 2017, we are now in the 60,000 range, stretching for 70,000 and looking toward 2022 to reach 80,000 supporters. And ladies and gentlemen, this growth has happened countrywide. It's not just Indiana, but I think we're definitely one of the top growth states in the nation. But Convention of States has grown tremendously over the past few years. Anyway, 100% of the regions with an active region captain, 60 district captains. We're currently at about 40. And we want to get to 60 district captains. Identify and support passage of 3 bills in the 2022 legislative session. Now, this is your area, Paul, specifically.
Right.
Any comment you want to make on this one particularly?
Well, these would be 3 bills that are what we call non-COS legislation. Yet we look for legislation that is about self-governance. And we worked on 3 bills this past session in 2021. I got 2 of them passed, 1 did not. So we're looking for 3 more. And in that second week in January, after the legislature comes into session and all the bills are published, we'll scour those and make a selection of 3 to work on during the session to work on getting passed and engaging our grassroots to contact their legislators to support those bills.
Okay. All right. Well, and then the last goal, and this is one that I was a little bit leery of when we first put it together, but after giving it some thought, I got more excited about it, and that's to conduct 250 educational presentations. Education is a big part of Convention of States, and educating people on not only the Constitution and the founding documents, what Article 5 is of the Constitution, what we're trying to accomplish, and educating people on what Convention of States is all about. So this is something that's going to take an effort at tracking, but the more we think about it, this broadcast here tonight is an educational presentation. And so if we do this every week, there's 50 right there, 52, or actually 50, given some holidays in the mix. But town hall meetings, what are some other examples, Paul, that we came up with?
Really any kind of meeting that we're engaging with and educating the public. And I would add a perfect example. I'm going to make a shameless plug here. This Saturday, October 9th, we have a team of district captains who have rented a drive-in movie theater the 1369 Drive-In in Wabash, Indiana.
1324.
Thank you. 1324 Drive-In in Wabash, Indiana. And it's a free movie entitled In Search of Liberty. It's the plot is one of our founders, Ben Franklin, comes into the future to educate a family on what the Constitution means and what their role is in protecting the Republic. So doors open there at 6. The movie starts at 7:45. Again, a free movie. We'd love to see you there at the 1324 Drive-In in Wabash.
All right, good. And that's a perfect example of an educational presentation. So yes. So 250 of them. That's our goal for 2022. All right, folks. Well, that's what we did at our strategy meeting, and that's what we've accomplished. That's what we set forth for 2022. And I guess, Paul, the way to wrap this up is great expectations for 2022. All right.
Well, thanks, Dale.
Well, thank you, John. And look who showed up. Paul showed
here.
up. Finally.
Welcome, Paul. You guys got anything you want to say to bring that to a conclusion?
Oh, I think the video speaks for itself. It was a very important meeting, and I hope everyone enjoyed that. Paul, we went ahead and got started without you, but anything you wanted to make comment on, or?
Well, first of all, my apologies for being late and joining the show, but it was a very successful strategy meeting. I thought there was great participation from many levels of the organization, and when you have that, you come up with a good plan. So I'm looking forward to accomplishing those goals in 2022.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. Thank you, Paul. And John, you want to introduce me, and I'll take over here.
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce our state director, Dale Parrish, who's going to move us into the education segment. Take it away, Dale.
All right. Thanks, John. Well, back again, folks. This segment, we want to talk about the various educational resources that we have available to us here in Indiana. Many of them are national resources as well, but some are resources that we have generated ourselves here. So we're going to change the format a little bit tonight, and the format that I'm going to use here, the first resource that we're going to talk about tonight is the Patriot Academy Biblical Citizenship Constitution Coaches. And I'm going to bring on this gentleman here right in the center, Mr. Marty Wood, and Marty's going to tell you about this particular resource. So let me get Marty up here on the screen. And hello, Marty.
Good evening.
Good evening. Glad you could join us tonight, Marty. I'm going to let you tell us about this particular resource. It's a very important educational resource that we have available here in Indiana, and these are individuals that are pictured here that are trained to deliver this resource. So, Marty, I'm going to let you take it, and I'll be back when you're finished. All right.
Very good. Thank you, Dale, and welcome everybody that's joining us tonight. I want to start out with a bit of a question, kind of food for thought. As Americans, if we were raised to read and study the Bible and to read and study the Constitution of the United States, think for a moment how different things may be today, given what we're all experiencing. Tonight, we're introducing you to another COS educational resource, Biblical Citizenship in Modern America. As you saw on the screen that Dale just showed, several COS Indiana members are now certified coaches for the Biblical Citizenship in Modern America program, and can help bring this program to our grassroots supporters, friends, and church groups to discover the faith-based foundation of our nation and better understand the reverence and influence the Bible had on our founding fathers and our Constitution. This program was developed by the Patriot Academy with significant historical resources of Wall Builders, a group in Texas. I would encourage everybody to take a look at the patriotacademy.com and wallbuilders.com websites. Lots of information there for Constitution-loving patriots. And it also includes support and commentary from Mark Meckler. So there are a number of components of this where Mark is live online during the program and has really lended his experience in Article 5 to what's happening with our Constitution. Throughout our nation's history, American pastors and churches have played a vital role in the establishment and preservation of religious and civil liberty. Being biblical citizens requires a knowledge of biblical principles and how to apply them to the world around us. You and your church can be a catalyst for restoring biblical values in your neighborhood, state, and our nation. The Biblical Citizenship in Modern America program is an 8-week program, one night a week. We've done this program also in different ways, a couple of times a week, depending on the needs and desires of our of the group that we're speaking with. The program begins with a discussion of the foundation brought to our country by the Pilgrims and the two primary settlements of Plymouth and Jamestown. Very interesting development of how these settlements not only started but evolved as time went on. Plymouth outlawed slavery and said that if any ship came into the port, the slaves would immediately be freed and captain and crew imprisoned. And guess what? That happened one and only one time. Jamestown condoned the slave trade because of their allegiance to King James. And there's some fascinating history in the program about how both of these early settlements evolved and how the migration west from those settlements occurred. The Pilgrims had a strong belief in biblical principles and their role in the Great Commission, which was to go and make disciples of all the world. This was interwoven with family, government, and the church, and they firmly believed that all three of those components must work together at all times. The Pilgrims substantially shaped the moral compass of our nation through their devotion to the Bible and the principles they applied to their daily lives. In fact, in more than 15,000 writings of our founding fathers, the most often quoted source was the Bible at 34% of everything they quoted. Amongst other people quoted were other English and French law professors and philosophers that all helped shape our Constitution and the foundation of the Constitution. The program, while initiating through the Bible and that foundation in the Bible and biblical philosophy and following the Bible, the biblical principles in family life and in government life, it significantly goes through the Constitution by interweaving how that influence affected the Constitution, affected the people who developed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. It steps through all the articles 1 through 7, defining our government, the responsibilities and its limitations. The first 10 amendments, which were the Bill of Rights, giving the rights to the people, and how that evolved shortly after the Constitution was initially written and ratified. And then amendments 11 through 27, which further develop limits on our government, address taxes in Amendment 16, voting rights in Amendments 15, 19, 24, 26, and slavery and civil rights in 13, 14, 15. There's also quite a bit of discussion on the unequal branches of government. A lot of people believe we have 3 equal branches. That is not true. Our legislative branch is the most powerful form of the government, and it was created to write all the laws and be responsible for the laws. We unfortunately see that that's not necessarily the case today. How the intent of the Constitution has been bent and has been reshaped by the judicial branch is substantially discussed, and how we can get that back. There are workbooks available for the program at a slight cost, but these workbooks, I would encourage everybody to get them and to use them throughout the class. They include a very valuable tool, The Constitution Made Easy. This was a book by Michael Holler, and he really takes the original Constitution. It was hard to read, jumping back and forth between the amendments, and he really interweaves the narrative and shows you right within the language what amendments occurred, how they changed the Constitution, and it puts it all in one spot, makes it very easy to get through, makes a very interesting read. And one of the last components of the class is a statement that says the fate of the free world depends upon, and then fill in the blank. And obviously, we all can fill in that blank with our name because the fate of the free world at this point, as we now see, really lies in our hands to do something and to act. So I'd encourage everybody to go to the COS website. We as coaches are here to support you in any way we can. If you have an interest in a class and a program, please contact us. And we will be happy to get that started for you in your group or your church. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Marty. Thank you for telling us about this particular resource. This is just a great resource, folks, and it's designed for small groups to interact and to really teach. This is a perfect example of the educational objective that we want to try and continue to strive to achieve. You know, Marty, you mentioned about the Bible being such a big resource early in the founding of our country. I came across that in some of the training here. I went through some of this myself, and I was very surprised to hear that, but that I see that. I really do see that was at the time, that was a major resource and document, right? I mean,
right, and the Pilgrims believed that morals, the Bible was the source of morals and moral living and teaching and life. And without morals, you could not have successful family development or successful government development. Yeah. And I think no truer is that today with what we've been experiencing, in the disposition of families as we've historically known them, as well as certainly our government.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you very much, Marty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I want to just quickly just kind of show you all the other resources that we have available to us here in Indiana. Of course, our main website, conventionofstates.com. The wiki page, we've featured that previously as a resource. And we try each month now to feature one of these resources to give you some more information about that resource, like we did tonight with Marty. And we'll be featuring one of these resources every month going forward. And so tonight it was the Patriot Academy, Biblical Citizenship, Constitutional Coaches. So these are all the other resources that we have and the podcasts that we have available. If you're interested in any of these and want some more information, want some links to get attached to them, contact our George Ward at george.ward@cosaction.com. and George will get that information to you and get you on the right track, or get you in touch with the person that you need to talk to about that. So that is that'll be it for our educational resource. And let me find John here and bring him back up here. John, you're still here, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Surprise, surprise. Well, okay, that was quite interesting. Now we're moving towards wrapping this thing up in about the next 15 minutes. So stay with me, Dale.
All right.
While we bring on the rest of the state leadership team.
Okay, let me bring them on up here then.
Okay, here's George Ward, our state grassroots coordinator. Hi, George. And Gary Harbaugh.
George, unmute yourself there, bud.
Our telepatriot administrator. Hi, Gary. I like your background. And Ken Kashuba, our communications coordinator. And we should have Paul Phillips, legislative liaison. Okay. This is the I want to know part of our roundtable. There are things people want to know about Convention of States. And I think our first question is going to go to George Ward.
Wait a minute, John. We got a few comments here. Let's look at a few comments, okay?
If we have time, we're down to 14 minutes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say a couple here. Here's James Casey from Missouri. Missouri has their strategy meeting coming up November 6th. And so he wanted to make note of that. Susan Lyon said, "Thanks, Marty. Great presentation." Okay. We got some others here, and a lot of people just saying hello. Here's Cynthia Baker from Auburn saying hello. So, and I'll end with this one. Matthew Zale, thanks from Scranton, Pennsylvania. So we're getting some out-of-state people tuning in this evening.
That's great to know.
Okay.
All right.
So
always like viewer response.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we want to go to some questions that we've got. So you want to take on this first question?
Yeah, George, how would you answer this person? What can I do to help? George Ward.
George, can you hear us? Well, I don't know. George is, we're not connected. He doesn't appear to be.
Is he muted? He's trying to hear. He's trying to be heard.
Yep, he's trying, but we're not hearing him. We're not hearing him. Okay.
Sorry about that.
We'll move on to another question here.
Okay. How do the state legislatures call a convention of states? I'm going to give this one to Paul Phillips. You're our legislative liaison. How does this happen?
So a state legislature would pass a joint resolution. And by joint resolution, I mean it would have to be passed by both the House and the Senate. And this resolution would have.
Well, that's a bit of an open-ended question. Yeah.
George's audio is finally coming through.
Yeah, I think George is.
Hello.
Internet is great, isn't it?
So a joint resolution passed by both the House and the Senate. And that resolution would have to have specific language that matches resolutions passed by the other states, which would specify the subject matter area of the convention, which for us are fiscal restraints, limits to the power, scope, and jurisdiction of the federal government, and term limits for federal officials. Mm-hmm. Finally, this is a resolution, not a bill, so it does not require the governor's signature. And as soon as both houses pass the resolution, it is sent into Congress and aggregated with the resolutions from other states. And once we get to 34, we have a convention.
That's pretty straightforward. Thanks, Paul. I think our next question is going to go to our state communications director, Ken Kashuba. Can the Congress block a convention of states?
Well, John, the short, quick answer is no. But once the 34 states apply for a convention to propose amendments on the same issue, Article 5 requires Congress to name the place and the time for the convention. Now, I'm sure a lot of us are saying, well, it's been decades since Congress has done anything. So the question comes up, well, if Congress continues to stay in their pattern of doing nothing, then if it does fail to exercise that power reasonably, then either the courts or the states themselves can override congressional inaction, and that's some of the power we the people can carry. So the answer again is no, they can't block a convention.
Okay, thanks, Ken. We have another question, and we're going to ask Gary Harbaugh to answer this one. What happens at a convention of states?
Thanks for that question, John. John, in many ways, this is the most important question. What would happen if we had a convention of states? The convention is, by its very terms, limited to the topics that are authorized by the states that call it, that issue the calls. Convention of States is asking each state to adopt an identical resolution that limits the convention to the three topics that are fundamental to our project, and that is limits on federal power, limits on federal spending, and limits on the use of federal power and term limits. Maybe I'm mixed up here, got those tied up there, but essentially that's what the convention can do. And one of the important things about this convention is that each state has one vote. So Rhode Island is just as important as California or New York. And it's limited to those topics. The convention is actually an extension of we the people through our state legislators, calling a convention a meeting to talk about putting limits on the federal government that really originate with we the people.
And the convention can only propose amendments, right?
That's correct. The convention will propose amendments, presumably. We actually had a simulated convention a few years ago, and several proposed amendments came out of that. Those were nothing official because it was simply a simulation. But those proposed amendments, whatever comes out of that convention, will then go to the states. And Congress actually has the power to decide whether the state legislatures would adopt or ratify those amendments, or whether the states would call conventions within each state to ratify. That's the only other power that Congress really has. But it would require 38 states to ratify whatever comes out of this convention, this meeting of the states.
Okay. Well, I want to go back and see if the internet has settled down enough that George can answer his question. George Ward, what can I do to help? Are we able to hear you this time?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Well, like I was trying to say before, it's kind of an open-ended question. What can I do to help? First thing, you got to educate yourself. I think a lot of the reason that we're where we're at now is citizen apathy over the past several decades. People just, they go about their lives. They don't want government involved in their lives. And now we have government involved in our lives big time. So the thing is, you got to educate yourselves, know what your rights are, get involved. Big push of Convention of States is this mindset of self-governance. That means getting involved. How many times you've been to local elections, or you go to vote for president, whatever, and there's local offices that are up for re-election, and you see all these people on there, and nobody's opposing them. They're running uncontested, in local elections. Find out something that trips your trigger in your local politics and get involved. Each district has a state representative and a state senator. Contact them. Go to the iga.in.gov website. That's Indiana's General Assembly website. You can view the calendar there and see what items are coming up. Use our resources like we talk about every roundtable here, our resources, and get yourself educated. Attend local local events, school board meetings, which are real big now, PTA meetings.
Yeah.
And don't stand up for yourself. They won't let me they won't let me know what the agenda is or something. Come on, folks. We can find out when the school board meetings are. We'll do what we can, to help out with that. Local district captains, region captains, things of this sort. We try to be as good of a resource to John Doe citizen as we can. We've got the power. We're a representative republic, and the representatives represent us. All right. Yeah. So the thing here mainly is what can you do to help is educate yourself and get involved.
Yes.
Every little bit helps, even involved in church activities and things. And, it's all a community effort, and numbers matter. So,
yeah,
I guess that's the long and the short of it. So
that's pretty good. I'm glad I went back to you, and I'm glad the internet cooperated with you this time.
Yeah, I'll have to slap it around a little bit, but
okay, well, that's good. Well, I want to move into the invitation to join Convention of States, and I want to introduce that by showing you an important video.
Liberty-minded Americans faced a difficult question. What do we do now? Our cities have been ravaged by riots. Calls from the left to defund the police continue unabated, while violent crime and murder rates skyrocket across the country. Joe Biden controls the White House, sort of. Really, we all know that Joe Biden's no longer in control of his faculties, and others behind the scenes actually control the agenda. Socialists control Congress. Leftists control the deep state. Marxists control our country's schools and universities, and the tech oligarchs are their willing censors and watchful spies. So who has a plan to stop them? Certainly, we're not seeing courage from Capitol Hill to stand up to the Democrats and their woke mob. The good news is that we do have a plan to stop them. This is the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. And this plan brings the fight to where we, the people, have a political advantage. While many Americans were disappointed in the outcome of this election at the presidential level, liberty-minded state legislators quietly swept to enormous victories. Now's the time to use this to our advantage and draw the fight for our liberties out of the swamp and into the battlefield where we, the people, have the advantage, in the states. This plan to call a convention of states can propose constitutional amendments that prohibit Congress from adding justices to the Supreme Court or states to the Union. This plan can secure our Second Amendment rights. It can eliminate the woke Department of Education, and it can stop the federal government from taking over the state election process. You need to know that this plan's underway already, and it's working. Join 5 million supporters and citizen activists, along with my friends Mark Levin, Rand Paul, Ben Shapiro, Glenn Beck, Mike Huckabee, Sean Hannity, and many, many more.
The Convention of States, ultimately, fundamentally, the way to secure our republic.
Washington is so broken it may not be fixable, and that the only way you'll truly get reform is by having a convention where people decide, we need to have term limits, or we have to have a balanced budget amendment.
I have endorsed it, and I believe very strongly that it's the only way we're ever going to get a balanced budget amendment. It's the only way we're ever going to be able to bring some real reform to our system.
I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States and to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
You have a chance of really saving the republic. I am all in. ConventionofStates.com.
And now I'm joining Convention of States to make this happen. So join me in this constitutional revolution at ConventionofStates.com. They have a petition. Go sign it today.
Support the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. Sign the petition at ConventionofStates.com.
Yeah, that was the voice of Mark Meckler, who we wanted to have as our guest tonight. Maybe we can get him on a future roundtable. So I ask you to join Convention of States right now by going to ConventionofStates.com. We're going to bring up the website here and show it to you. This is what it looks like, ConventionofStates.com. And right there, you fill in those blank fields and join Convention of States by signing our petition. Now, if you really want to help make a difference, click Take Action in the menu bar at the top of your screen. And then on the next screen, you can scroll down and click Become a Leader. There you can apply for a leadership position. Now is the time to visit conventionofstates.com, click Take Action, and help us make history. Well, that brings us to the end of this month's Roundtable. So mark your calendar. You don't want to miss the next one on the fourth Monday of November. That will be November 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm John Ackerman for COS Indiana Roundtable. Good night.